Alright, well, welcome to another episode. First of all, I have to excuse myself. I didn't upload anything yesterday. With the reason being that A, I actually filmed it, but B, since I've changed many of the settings within OBS Studio, it's been exported in a way that, wasn't really processable by DaVinci Resolve, my video editing program. So it was stuck there like at 11:30 in the afternoon, and I couldn't edit anything. Yeah. So sorry about that. As of right now, I'm in a break of about 2.5 hours. So I'm trying to be somewhat concise. But yeah, I'll just jump right into it. First of all, the week was pretty darn nice. I've had many social interactions. There was also the Martinita Fest, and yeah, other than that, I've actually managed to accomplish something that I've been striving for quite a while, namely my standing up earlier on a somewhat consistent basis. But I'll just get into it by means of Obsidian. So yeah, see you there. So we are back again in Obsidian, and I'm trying to be somewhat quick about that. Well, it's week 9, and regarding my habits, as I've somewhat teased beforehand, I managed to really up my times in terms of like staying up not too long, but also getting up earlier. Yeah, as you can see, throughout the whole week, I've been quite consistent with the latest time of myself standing up at being a Friday at like 10 a.m. 45. But other than that, it was pretty nice. There's even one time where I stood up at like 10 minutes before 6 a.m. with the reason being that I've visited a relative of mine on that day, and I had to catch a train. And other than that, it was really nice. Quite content with that. Now, clean room, there's nothing standing there, but I can tell you that it's a little bit messier than beforehand. Most definitely the desk. So yeah, that's still something that's a little bit. It's not of how I want my room to look like on a consistent basis. Let's put it that way. Moving on to the next section, namely health. Well, this week was kind of blunt in terms of exercising, respectively stretching. Didn't do anything of that matter, but I really managed to put myself together diet-wise. Whilst there have been a few days where I drank some alcohol, namely Wednesday and also Saturday, the diet has been clean throughout the whole week, and I stuck to this sort of kind of plan, so to speak of, namely eating mostly vegetables, not drinking anything that's really bad for my health, except 2 times alcohol. Yeah, it was really good. Like one time during Saturday, I ate some pre-cooked meals, but other than that, I even managed to fast for a few days. It's not as if I've planned this beforehand, but whenever I'm standing up, and I usually skip a meal, and then I've got work, and during the break of my work, I prepare something for the evening, so that goes hand in hand with my fasting, or rather this results in my fasting. Other than that, yeah, it was quite nice. Let's look at the mental aspect of health. My mood has been really nice lately, also this week as well. I think it's got a lot to do with my being a little bit more social, outgoing, and also having more interactions, more focused interactions, so to speak of. So yeah, like my mood was really nice this week. And on Saturday, for example, this was also a really nice day for me. I've visited a relative of mine, namely my grandfather. We talked a little bit, and on the in the early afternoon, I took the train home, and then I played some drunk DKT with some flatmates of mine. FYI, DKT is like the Austrian version of Monopoly. Yeah, it's basically like some sort of business game, and we combined it with taking some shots. Yeah, also had a blast. Yeah, now that's the general reflection section. As I've mentioned before, I'm quite content with how it's going right now. But I also, even though I made some progress in terms of studying, I need to up my game in this regard, because I've got 2 important exams during the last weeks of March, namely pedagogical, respectively educational psychology and testing theory. And yeah, I still need to prepare a lot for that, because they're gonna be really, really tough in comparison with some other exams. Like, for example, this week last week actually, I've written marketing and advertising psychology, and this was like the easiest exam that I've written in a while. Like, we had 30 minutes time, and I've finished in about 5 minutes, and got it back like 2 days ago. Like 2 days after I've written the exam, and I managed to get a B, so I'm really, really happy about that. But yeah, these are just like the exceptions in terms of subjects that are and the things that I need to do for the subject. So yeah, definitely need to up my game in this regard a little bit. Other than that, there will be a party this week within my flat, so I really need to prepare a lot for that as well. I'm also still thinking about preparing a DJ set, or at least creating different crates, so to speak, of like with different subgenres and like energy levels and stuff like this. And yeah, I really, really need to get the ball rolling with that one, because it will be sort of like my first live gig, so to speak of. Yeah, so I'm a little bit stressed, but generally speaking, I'm quite calm and quite content about how everything's been going. So yeah, now let's move on to Rice. Alright, as you can see, we're back in Rice, and this is the weekly overview. Just to put it concisely, I've worked about 28 hours and 30 minutes this week. Now this, of course, only includes the work that I've done in front of the PC, not, for example, my actual job, which is also about like 20 to 25 hours each week. Yeah, let's get a little bit more detail about that. As you can see, I've spent most of the time processing lectures. Now this is not everything, because, for example, utility, like editing PDFs and stuff like that, or documenting, in certain cases also belongs to the category studying, respectively engaging with university-related material. As you can see, during Monday I've actually had the most productive time. I've almost worked for like 9 hours, followed by Tuesday with the weakest time, with the least amount of time spent on being productive being Wednesday. This was also like the day of the festival, like the Martinica festival, where I've spent a lot of time with some friends of mine. And yeah, Saturday was also somewhat weak, since I've spent the majority of the day with my grandfather, and during the afternoon I've spent some time with some flatmates. And yeah, this is basically like how the week went. As you can see, I've done a lot of mixing. There's still two categories there for whatever reason. Music preparation, so learning how to DJ is still taking up somewhat of a large chunk of time during each week. But yeah, other than that, there's not really that much that's changed. Yeah, like video editing, productivity, organization. Like these are the categories that have not yet been, or rather, these are activities that have not yet been properly specified. At least not to my detailed liking. To put it in a rough manner. But anyway, this was like the week. Quite happy about that. Of course, there have been some days where I didn't really plan on not working. Or at least I planned on working longer. For example, Saturday, where, as I've mentioned before, spent some time with my friends during the evening with my flatmates. But yeah, still really happy with the working hours and how it's going. So that concludes my weekly review session regarding time spent in front of the PC or other related matters. So all in all, I'm quite happy with how it's going. Of course, there's still many fronts that have been neglected and need some better engagement, so to say. For example, like I really wish to stand up a little bit earlier, even though it's been better this week, but still not quite to my liking. I also would like to really get back into exercising and stretching. So I'll see how it goes this week. Other than that, I'm quite fine with how my life's generally going. I'm doing good in my studies. I'm eating healthily for most of the time, having some nice social interactions as well. But yeah, there's still other things that I need to consider. For example, now the next weeks are gonna be more stressful for me, since I've got some new, like the new semester has started and I've got some new lectures going on. I've also got to prepare a DJ set, or ideally a DJ set for this weekend's party. Yeah, but that's nothing that shouldn't be it's nothing that can't be accomplished. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this week. See ya.